Hello and welcome back to one of our mini training sessions on Workbooks CRM. And in this one, we're going to cover GDPR and how Workbooks can help with your compliance. Now, before we start, I should say that Wizard Systems are not GDPR experts. This webinar is not about GDPR, so we assume that you know the basics. Wizard Systems can't offer any legal advice to you on the legislation. And even though the UK has left the EU, of course, GDPR came out of the EU, GDPR is still retained in domestic law in the UK if you're a UK user, but the UK has, of course, the independence to keep that under review. So this session, if you're listening to this as a recording, this session is May 2024. So please check on the legislation, whatever time you're at. Right, that's the disclaimer out of the way. So a CRM system like Workbooks can be a great tool, invaluable tool for organizations trying to meet their GDPR obligations. And in this session, we're going to give you a little demo of what Workbooks does as standard to help you be compliant with that legislation. Hello then, my name is Tim Wilmot and I'm joined by my colleague Stuart Lawrence and Hind, and our company Wizard Systems. We're a leading independent CRM solutions provider of systems like Workbooks, and we help out organizations use simple and affordable solutions to improve their sales, marketing, and customer service productivity. So if you're joining us live, thanks for joining us for this mini session, one of our regular series of short presentations focusing on different topics around Workbooks. And as I say, in this one, we're going to dive into the way that Workbooks can help you be compliant. Now, the audio part of this presentation is one way only. If you've got a question, pop that into the question section. We'll answer that towards the end. So I'll hand over to you, Stuart.
So, as mentioned, we're not going to teach you about GDPR. We'd be here for hours if we were. So I'm going to start with the first part of this, which is if your system doesn't show compliance records, and I've got Mr. Alan Whitehead here, and in the bottom corner, I've got a section here called data compliance. If your system's not showing that, your administrator can enable it. It's a module that's built into Workbooks. And if your administrator goes to the licenses and modules section of configuration, they can enable it. There's not much a configuration to do with users. When this is enabled, it will automatically enable the members of the, I think it's the everybody group or the everyone group, to be able to view and modify. And obviously the administrator can do everything regarding these. So that's the setup side of it out of the way. So, excuse me. What I'm going to show you today is how to make sure that you and your data are compliant. And how does Workbooks do this? So, as I mentioned, I'm going to use Alan Whitehead's record. And compliance is just another record type in Workbooks, just like people, organizations, opportunities, projects. It's a record type. On his record, you can see that he's not compliant. Let's have a quick look at why. Oh, there you go. And that is because it expired. Okay. So what can we do to rectify this? So the best thing we can do is go and add a new compliance record. So a new screen pops up. And it's here that we can do the following, we can add the following information. First of all, the main part of this is what you would class as the GDPR part of it. And it's one of the 6 reasons why we've got Alan's record and why we're keeping his record. And it's consent, he's consented to it. We've got a legal obligation, a contract, a license, a legitimate interest. We feel we have a legitimate interest to keep Alan abreast of products and services. It could be a contract, a public interest, and vital interest. These are the words that the ICO have used. Now, for this purpose, I'm going to say that we have a legitimate interest to look after Alan's record in our workbooks system. The second section is why are we keeping this? Now, I'm going to go with delivery of services because we provide support for his company. The next section is the start and end dates for the compliance record. Now, start's going to start from today. Now, this is where it gets a little bit, you have to be careful and do sort of it's customer based. Now, the best practice when using consent is to set it to expire for a reasonable period. Again, the ICO for the UK recommend 2 years. However, you can change these if the circumstances are different for your company. For example, if you have a product and you sell an extended warranty to cover 5 years, you'd want to set the compliance for 5 years so that you've covered Alan's record, so that you can keep him up to date with any updates, returns, and so on. So here I'm just going to pick 2 years. So I'll go 26. Okay, today. The next ones are really to show, they call it channels, but it's to do, think of it as source. Where did this compliance come from? And again, I'm going to say this came from an email, but you could add more than one if you want to. Here in this test system, we've got special categories. An administrator can add specific fields into workbooks to store a little bit more information about the compliance record. So I'm going to say save. That gets the first part of this done. Now you'll notice, just like a lot of records in workbooks, that there are tabs across the top: notes, comments, activities, files. And this is for you to use evidence behind this compliance record. So notes, comment, obviously people that use comments in workbooks, it's for you to have a conversation with a fellow user about a record. Activities, this could be that you've had a phone call with the customer, at which point you've discussed a product or a service, and then you can record it in here. Files, this is really good if you've got screenshots or warranty documents that you want to put on this compliance record, so you've got this proof that if anybody ever questioned why this record is active and you saying this is compliant, you've got the evidence to show it. And finally, of course, related items. And for anyone who wants to know more about related items, we did a recent webinar on this very subject, but it just means that you could say that we've got a legitimate interest to look after this record because of a support case that Alan logged with us, and we could relate this compliance record to that support case. So that just covers the extra tabs. But here, that's fairly easy. I'm just going to save and close that. And you'll notice straight away, without having to save anything, the box changes color and this record is GDPR compliant. So that's very, very quick. Now what you will notice is that the record now shows there's the old one that expires, compliant with a nice tick in it. If I go back in, it's pretty much just read only now. So I can just go back and check it. One thing that they do allow you to do is you can change the date, and it's not a mistake. They allow you to change the date. So for instance, if you need to extend or reduce the date, but only where the reason is legitimate grounds doesn't change. So if you've picked it, and because it could just be a mistake, you may have picked 1 year and you meant to do 2 years, it does allow you to go back in. If you need to change the reason, then you should revoke this compliance record so it stops now and create a fresh one with the new reason. So that just covers sort of the only bit of GDPR I will talk about for this one. For now, I'm going to say that and close that. So Alan's record is live. What I will say is that I've just done it on one particular record, but if you want, you can do this by a bulk action. And again, we did a webinar on bulk actions. There's one on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out for those that missed it. And really, that's it. That's really quick, really simple, and just helps keep your data compliant for GDPR. And back to Tim.
Yeah, thanks very much, Stuart. So as you can see, all built into workbooks, you can actually get quite comprehensive with the recording of that GDPR compliance, or you can use it really, really simple with just selecting. You can see that the only mandatory field, the only required field was the legal grounds bit. And remember the bulk actions to en masse update multiple records with GDPR compliance. So quite an easy task. If GDPR is important for you and maintain that compliancy with your data. Okay, so before we dive into any questions you've got on this, just a little bit more information about Wizard System. So all we do is CRM. We do provide a number of different CRM solutions, including workbooks, and we provide any kind of service around workbooks that you want. The provisioning of the product and setting it up to your requirements, ongoing work and customization integration with other applications, training as well, any kind of training that you want, any kind of level, and that can be at your place or our place or online, and ongoing technical support as well, so that we're just a quick phone call, email away for you. Right, so if you've got any questions around GDPR compliance, the way that workbooks can help you with GDPR, please pop that into that question section. Question from Lucas: how do I make my own list for the compliance purposes?
Oh, right, yes. Yeah, so I alluded to the fact that there were 3 in our test system, but it's a pick list. So provided you've got the rights to do it, if you go into configuration and go into pick lists, you want the pick list obviously for compliance record, and the field you're looking for is compliance purpose, and it's in there that you can put the ones that would make the record relate to your system.
Okay, and question from Sylvie. So I can see I can add multiple records. Why would you do that?
If it's referring to you can have multiple compliance records to one record, it's because you may have more than one reason to have a compliant record on that one. So we've picked legitimate interest, but it could also be for the purposes of a contract. And the contract date may be different. So you just want to show why this record. It's one of those things where you can never give too much information as to why you're showing compliance. So legitimate interest, contract, vital information. It just allows you to show as much information as possible rather than just one.
Yeah, I suppose in practice it would be at any one point in time there'd be sort of one live record, but Workbooks gives you the option there. An example of adding in multiple if you want to, covering those different legal grounds. Right, I don't think there's any more questions. No, all right. Let's just wrap things up then for this session on GDPR with Workbooks. So current release of Workbooks that you're on is 7.2. We're running a Mastering Workbooks course again next week. Please contact us for details on that. It's one-day course at our Bristol Training Centre, covering more advanced topics on Workbooks. And as regards future sessions like this, online sessions, if you've got any suggestions for future topics, then please drop us a line. We'd love to consider those. So thanks very much. Those of you on here live, thanks very much for dropping in, and we'll catch up with you soon on another Workbooks topic. Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.